If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Sunday morning. Well, what's going on in the world? Well, who better to tell us than General Petraeus? And General, there's so many things that are happening. Let's start off with, Putin, Russia, Ukraine. Are we getting any more closer to having peace in the world?
Sadly, it does not appear that that is the case, John. The president, his envoys have worked very, very hard to try to have some serious negotiations. The Ukrainians, I think, have negotiated in good faith, have made a number of compromises, but the Russians really seem dug in on very absolute demands. And some of these are just not acceptable. They can't be acceptable to Ukraine, shouldn't be acceptable to us. They are, essentially demilitarization of Ukraine, replacing President Zelensky with a pro-Russian figure, giving up territory that the Russians haven't even approached, much less taken, which include the fortified cities in the southeast. So sadly, there is not a resolution coming soon on the Ukraine issue. Meanwhile, the EU has stepped up very impressively. I was just in Ukraine just a couple of weeks ago and then at Munich last weekend. And they have really been moving out. They provided 90 billion euros, $105 billion for financial and economic assistance. There's another 60 billion package for security assistance.
Understood. Now, between Russia and Ukraine, what added help do they have? Is anybody helping Russia, or is anybody? Well, the European Union countries are helping Ukraine. Is that true?
Well, the EU countries are very much helping Ukraine. They just passed an agreement that provides 90 billion euros, about $105 billion to Ukraine for financial and economic assistance that solves their problems for the next year and a half in that realm. There's another 60 billion package in euros, again, for security assistance, and the individual countries have been providing substantial assistance as well. But China is very much helping Russia. Russia could not keep their military-industrial complex working were it not for the components, all of the different elements that China is providing to Russia to enable them to continue to make weapons systems, communications, all the other elements needed for warfare. And by the way, Russia is innovating right alongside Ukraine. This is an unmanned systems war in many respects now. Ukraine this year, I was just there 2 weeks ago, and then at Munich last weekend, Ukraine is going to make 7 million drones this year alone. It's just almost incomprehensible. Last year, they made 3.5 million. They were using 10,000 drones a day on the battlefield of all types, ground, air, maritime, and then those going into the Russian Federation. So the problem is, of course, that Russia seems not willing at all to seriously negotiate an end to this war, a cessation of hostilities. They have maximalist demands. They haven't fallen off those. And so the president's negotiators just really can't make progress in bringing about an end to this very, very damaging war, noting that in the cities of Ukraine, Russia has been going after the electrical system and the heating system, trying to turn off the lights and turn out the heat. So it's a very, very tough situation.
And Cuba, isn't that just as tough? Is anybody supporting Cuba at all? Is Russia supporting Cuba, China, or anybody?
No. I mean, Cuba's challenge is, of course, they used to have a deal. They'd provide doctors and nurses and actually special operators to Venezuela in return for crude oil. And they don't get that. Mexico has cut it off as well. So they're in a situation where the lights are going to go out there also. and it's hard to predict how this might end, but it is not going to all well for the regime there.
So it's just a matter of time. I mean, there's no other choice.
I think it is.
The lights are off.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, they have no other option really, and they're in a desperate situation. It's going to get worse and worse. Everything is going to stop moving in the country. But what then does happen? And that's what is unclear at this point in time. We can see where it might go with Venezuela ultimately 2 years from now, perhaps. That transition when there is an election that's run and the results are actually honored as opposed to the last time. But Cuba is in a very, very difficult situation.
Well, last but not least, and I left it for last. Well, there's a lot of firepower near and close to Iran. The aircraft carrier, the Ford, which is has a reputation of being extra special, is on its way there. It's getting closer and closer. Is the Ayatollah going to discuss things, surrender? What do you think?
Well, you're right. There is another aircraft carrier task force on the way to the Gulf. It's a Gerald Ford. It's the most modern, largest in our entire inventory in the world, really. That provides an enormous additional element of combat power. But it's not clear at all, John, that the Supreme Leader is willing to negotiate seriously about the nuclear program, much less the missile program, which is so threatening to our partners and allies in the region, including Israel, and the support that they provide to these murderous proxies like Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and Shia militia in Iraq. So unless he demonstrates some flexibility, I think they're going to be on the receiving end of a very, very substantial demonstration of American military power.
And President Trump has not made up his mind. In my opinion, he'd rather have peace than war. So I guess we just have to wait and see until the president makes up his mind.
We will. Yep. Yesterday I think it was, he said that 10 days or so will be the decision time frame. And again, so they have a chance. They can either make a deal, make some serious concessions, which they've not been willing to do before, or again, they're going to see what we can do through the air. Noting, John, you should realize that Iran is essentially defenseless against attack from the air. Their entire sophisticated Russian S-300 air and ballistic missile defense system was taken out. Most of the rest of the air defense has been eliminated as well. This is all done by Israel in the first part of the 12-day air campaign they conducted, by the way, using our F-35s. So they're in a very, very difficult situation. But the Supreme Leader is such an ideologue, he's so hard-line, that it appears that he may not budge on the issues that really matter. And in that case, then President Trump is going to have to take action, noting, of course, that you'll recall when the demonstrations were at their height, he said help was on the way. So this is the situation there. Look, candidly, I'm all for taking the missile program down further, more damage to the security forces, but we should be very clear-eyed. This will not bring about a regime change, sadly.
General David Petraeus, thank you so much for everything you've done for America and continue to speak out for America. And God bless you and God bless America. And thank you for coming on this Sunday morning.
Always a pleasure, John. Thank you.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.